I have something to tell you. Something you need to know about Jake. My sister Victoria's voice cut through the silence of my living room. It was 3 hours after my husband's funeral. 3 hours after I'd buried the man I'd loved for 12 years. 3 hours after I'd said goodbye to the person I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. And now, Victoria was standing in my living room, her 7-year-old son Oliver beside her, holding a manila envelope that would destroy everything I thought I knew. My name is Elena Morgan, and I'm 34 years old. Or I was 34 when this happened, when my entire life shattered in a single afternoon, when I discovered that grief could have layers I never imagined, when I learned that betrayal doesn't end just because someone dies. Let me start at the beginning. 3 weeks before the funeral. Jake and I had been married for 12 years. We'd met in college, fell in love fast, got married young. Everyone said we were too young, that we should wait. But we didn't listen. We were 22 and stupid and so sure we'd found forever. And for 12 years, I thought we had. Jake was a software engineer, made good money. We lived in a nice house in the suburbs. No kids yet, but we were trying. Or I thought we were trying. Looking back now, I realized Jake had been stalling for the past 2 years, always saying, maybe next year, maybe when work calms down, maybe when we're more financially stable. I thought he was being cautious, responsible. I didn't know he already had a child. Jake died in a car accident. Wrong place, wrong time. A drunk driver ran a red light. Jake was gone instantly, they told me. Didn't suffer. That was supposed to be a comfort. It wasn't. Nothing about sudden loss is comfortable. You don't get to say goodbye, don't get to prepare. One morning, you're making coffee for two, and by evening, you're planning a funeral alone. The funeral was beautiful, I guess. That's what people kept telling me. Beautiful service. He would have loved it. He's at peace now. All the meaningless things people say when they don't know what else to offer. My parents were there. Jake's parents flew in from Arizona. Our friends from college, from work, from the neighborhood, and Victoria, my younger sister by 3 years. She'd driven up from Portland with Oliver. I hadn't seen much of Victoria in recent years. We'd grown apart after she got pregnant 7 years ago. She'd never told anyone who the father was, just showed up to Thanksgiving 6 months along and announced she was keeping the baby and didn't want to discuss the father ever. Our parents had been scandalized but supportive. I'd been confused but accepting. It was her life, her choice, her secret. Oliver was a sweet kid, quiet, a little shy. He had dark curly hair and light brown eyes. He'd always reminded me a little of Jake, actually. Same coloring, similar facial structure. I'd mentioned it once to Victoria years ago. She'd laughed it off, said lots of people have brown eyes and dark hair. I had agreed and never thought about it again. Until the funeral. Oliver stood next to Victoria during the service, held her hand, cried silently into her sleeve. I remember thinking it was sweet how sensitive he was, how empathetic for a 7-year-old to cry at the funeral of his aunt's husband. I didn't know he was crying for his father. After the funeral, people came back to our house. My house. Just my house now. Not our house anymore. People brought casseroles and condolences, stood around awkwardly making small talk, telling stories about Jake, laughing at old memories. I moved through it like a ghost, nodding, smiling, accepting hugs, feeling nothing. By 6 o'clock, most people had left. My parents were helping clean up in the kitchen. Jake's parents had gone back to their hotel. A few close friends lingered, but eventually they left too. Finally, it was just me, my parents, Victoria, and Oliver. Mom and Dad were talking about staying a few more days, making sure I was okay. I was assuring them I'd be fine, I just needed time alone. That's when Victoria said she needed to talk to me, privately. We went into the living room. She told Oliver to stay in the kitchen with my parents. He didn't want to, started to cry. She was firm. Stay here. We'll be right back. Then she closed the door. I have something to tell you. Something you need to know about Jake. I was exhausted, emotionally wrung out. I just wanted everyone to leave so I could fall apart in private. What is it, Victoria?
She was holding the manila envelope. Her hands were shaking. This is going to be hard to hear. Then don't tell me. Not today. I can't handle anything else today. You need to know. She opened the envelope and pulled out papers. Legal documents. I could see official stamps, signatures. What is that? It's Jake's will. A copy of it. How do you have a copy of Jake's will? His lawyer sent it to me. Why would Jake's lawyer send you anything? She took a deep breath. Because I'm named in it, as the guardian of his son. If anything happened to him, I was supposed to take care of Oliver, financially and otherwise. I stared at her, not understanding, processing words that didn't make sense. Oliver? Your Oliver? She nodded. My Oliver. Jake's Oliver. Our Oliver. The room tilted. I sat down hard on the couch. What are you saying? I'm saying Jake is Oliver's father. Has been since the beginning. We had an affair 7 years ago. I got pregnant. He asked me not to tell anyone. Said it would destroy you, destroy his marriage. He wanted to be in Oliver's life, but quietly, so we agreed to keep it a secret. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. My sister, my husband. 7 years of lies. 7 years of family dinners and holidays and birthday parties where everyone pretended, where Jake played uncle to his own son, where Victoria smiled and acted like everything was normal. You had an affair with my husband. It was one time, one night. We were both drunk. It was a mistake. A mistake that resulted in a child you've raised for 7 years without telling me? I'm telling you now, 7 years later, after he's dead, after I can't even confront him, after he can't explain or apologize or face any consequences. Convenient timing, Victoria. She flinched. I didn't want to tell you like this. I wanted to tell you years ago, but Jake begged me not to. He said it would destroy you. So he destroyed me instead, just slowly, over 7 years. While I had no idea. She was crying now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Alina. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. You both did. I looked at the papers in her hand. The will. What does the will say? She handed it to me. I read through it, lawyer language, dense and formal, but clear enough. Jake had left a trust fund for Oliver, $250,000 to be managed by Victoria until Oliver turned 18. He'd also left instructions that Oliver was to be told the truth about his parentage when he was old enough to understand. And then I got to the part about me, Jake's wife, the person he'd promised forever to. I got the house, which still had a mortgage. I got his retirement accounts, which weren't substantial. I got his personal effects. But the life insurance policy, the big one through his work, that was split. 50% to me, 50% to Oliver's trust. $500,000 cut in half. Because my husband had a secret family. I'm supposed to be grateful he left me anything? Victoria was sobbing now. He loved you. He did. He just made a terrible mistake. And kept making it. Every single day. For 7 years. Every time he looked at me and didn't tell me. Every time we talked about having kids and pretended everything was fine. Every family dinner where you both sat there lying to my face.
I didn't know what to do. I was scared. Scared of losing my son. Scared of you hating me. So I let Jake decide, and he decided to lie. And you went along with it. What choice did I have? You had every choice. You could have told me the truth. You could have given me the option to make an informed decision about my marriage. Instead, you took that choice away. Both of you. She wiped her eyes. What do you want me to say? I want you to leave. Elena, please, get out. Take Oliver and get out of my house. But we need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. You've said what you needed to say. You've delivered your message. Now leave. But the will, the money.
I'll deal with it through lawyers. I never want to see you again." She stood there for a moment, then she nodded and left the room. I heard her collecting Oliver from the kitchen, heard my mother asking what was wrong, heard the front door close, then silence. My parents came into the living room. "What happened? Why did Victoria leave so upset?" I handed my father the will, let him read it, watched his face change as he understood. "Oh my God." Mom read over his shoulder, her hand flew to her mouth. "Elena, sweetheart, don't. Just don't. I need you both to leave too. Tonight? I can't be around anyone right now. I need to be alone." They tried to argue, tried to stay, tried to help, but there was no help for this. No comfort, no words that would make it better. Finally, they left. Promised to call tomorrow, promised they'd be there when I was ready, and then I was alone. In the house I'd shared with Jake, surrounded by his things. His books, his shoes by the door, his coffee mug still in the sink. And now I knew. All of it was a lie. Not all of it. Some of it had been real. But how much? How do you separate the truth from the lies when they've been woven together for so long? I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. I kept replaying memories, family dinners where Jake had played with Oliver. I'd thought he was being a good uncle. Now I knew he'd been spending time with his son. Holidays where Victoria and Oliver would stay with us, I'd thought my sister was visiting. Now I knew she had been bringing Jake's child home. Conversations where Jake had said he wasn't ready for kids. Now I knew he already had one. Every memory was poisoned, recontextualized, ruined. The next morning, I called Jake's lawyer, a man named Richard Chen. I'd met him once at a work event. He'd seemed nice enough, professional. Now I hated him because he'd known. He'd helped Jake set up the will, the trust, the lie. "Mr. Chen, this is Elena Morgan, Jake Morgan's widow. Mrs. Morgan, I'm so sorry for your loss. I received a copy of the will. From my sister." He was quiet for a moment. "I see. Did you know? About Oliver? About the affair?" "I was Jake's attorney. I knew what he told me." "Which was?" "He said Oliver was his biological son from a previous relationship. He wanted to provide for him. He instructed me not to discuss it with you." A previous relationship. That's what he called it. An affair with my sister while we were married. Another pause. "I'm not at liberty to discuss the specifics of my communications with Jake." "Of course not. Attorney-client privilege. Even though he's dead, even though he destroyed my life?" "Mrs. Morgan, I understand you're upset. I'm beyond upset. I'm devastated. And I'm going to contest this will. You're certainly within your rights to do so, though I should tell you, the will is ironclad. Jake made sure of that." Of course he did. He had 7 years to plan it, to make sure his son was taken care of, to make sure his secret was protected even after death. I hung up before Mr. Chen could respond, spent the rest of the day researching, reading about contesting wills, about proving fraud or undue influence, about fighting for what should have been mine. But the truth was, the will was legal. Jake was of sound mind when he made it. He'd provided for his legitimate dependents. There was nothing fraudulent about it, just morally bankrupt. 3 days after the funeral, my parents came back. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where Jake and I ate breakfast together for 12 years, and talked about what to do next. "Have you spoken to Victoria?" Dad asked. "No." "Are you going to?" "I don't know. She's still your sister. She slept with my husband and hid his child from me for 7 years. I think she's forfeited the sister card." Mom reached across the table. "I know you're angry. I'm beyond angry. But she's family. So was Jake. That didn't stop him from betraying me." They didn't have answers. No one did. They stayed for 2 more days, then went home, promised to check in regularly, told me to call any time. I appreciated it, but I knew I was alone in this. No one could fix it. No one could make it better. A week after the funeral, I went back to work. I'm a graphic designer at a mid-sized marketing firm. My boss had told me to take all the time I needed, but staying home was worse. Being alone with my thoughts was torture, so I went back. People were awkward around me, offered condolences, asked if I needed anything. I smiled and said I was fine and buried myself in work. 2 weeks after the funeral, Victoria tried to call. I didn't answer. She called again the next day, and the day after that, left voicemails. Elena, please, we need to talk. Oliver keeps asking about you. He doesn't understand why you won't see us. I need to explain more. Please call me back. I deleted every message without listening to the end. I didn't want her explanations, didn't want to hear about Oliver missing me. He wasn't my nephew anymore. He was my husband's son. The physical evidence of betrayal. 3 weeks after the funeral, I met with my own lawyer, a woman named Patricia Williams, who specialized in family law. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. When she finished, she sat back. I'm sorry this happened to you. Can I contest the will? You can try, but based on what you've told me, it's unlikely to succeed. The will is properly executed. Jake was clear about his intentions. The fact that you didn't know about Oliver doesn't invalidate the document. So I just have to accept it. Half my husband's life insurance going to the child he had with my sister. Unless you want to drag this through court for months, spend tens of thousands in legal fees, and likely still lose, then yes, I'm afraid so. What about Victoria? Can I sue her? For what? Alienation of affection? Some states have those laws, Washington doesn't. You could potentially sue for intentional infliction of emotional distress, but it would be difficult to prove and expensive. And ultimately, what would you win? Money? Vindication? Would it make you feel better? I didn't know. Would it? Or would it just prolong the pain, keep me tied to them when all I wanted was to be free? I'll think about it. In the meantime, Patricia said, you should start taking care of the practical matters. Closing accounts, changing titles, moving forward. That phrase, moving forward. Like it was simple. Like I could just step into my future without looking back. But how do you move forward when your past has been rewritten? A month after the funeral, I started going through Jake's things. His clothes, his papers, his files on his computer. I told myself I was looking for practical information, account numbers, passwords, important documents, but really I was looking for evidence, proof of the affair, emails, texts, photos, something that would help me understand how this had happened. I found it in his email, a folder labeled work projects that contained nothing about work. Hundreds of emails between Jake and Victoria, spanning 7 years. I read them all, every single one. It was torture, but I couldn't stop. The earliest ones were before Oliver was born, Jake panicking about the pregnancy, Victoria scared but determined to keep the baby, Jake promising to support her financially, Victoria agreeing to keep his identity secret. They decided together, planned it together, every detail of the lie carefully orchestrated.
Then, emails after Oliver was born. Jake talking about seeing his son, Victoria sending photos, updates on milestones, first tooth, first steps, first day of school. A whole parallel life, documented in emails I was never supposed to see. There were moments of guilt, Jake writing that he felt terrible lying to me, Victoria saying maybe they should tell the truth, but always they'd talk each other out of it. Too risky, too complicated, too late. The affair itself had been brief, according to the emails. One drunken night at a family party. Victoria had been going through a breakup, Jake had been stressed about work. They both had too much to drink. It had happened once, just once. But once was enough. Reading those emails broke something in me. Not my heart, that was already broken, but my ability to see my marriage as anything real. Because even in the emails where Jake talked about feeling guilty, there was never any indication he planned to tell me. Never any suggestion that I deserved the truth. Just endless justifications for why the lie needed to continue. For Oliver's sake, for Victoria's sake, for the family's sake, everyone's sake but mine. I printed every email, hundreds of pages, put them in a binder, evidence of betrayal, documentation of lies, proof that the life I'd lived for 12 years had been a performance. 2 months after the funeral, my mother called. I'd been avoiding her calls, avoiding my father's too, but she kept trying. Finally, I answered. "How are you doing, sweetheart?" "I'm surviving." "Are you eating, sleeping?" "Not really." "Have you talked to Victoria?" "No." "She's worried about you." "She should have worried about that before she slept with my husband." "Elena, I know you're angry." "Do you, Mom? Do you really know? Because I don't think you do. I don't think anyone who hasn't been through this can possibly understand." "You're right. I can't fully understand. But I do know that holding on to anger will destroy you. Victoria already destroyed me. She made a terrible mistake. She betrayed me for 7 years. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. She made it every single day." Mom sighed. "What do you want? An apology? Because she's sorry." "Elena, she's devastated." "Good. She should be. So you want her to suffer?" "I want her to face consequences." "She has. She's lost her sister." "Have you considered that you've lost one too?" "I considered it. Had been considering it. But the truth was, I didn't feel like I'd lost a sister. I felt like I'd discovered I never really had one. The Victoria I'd grown up with, trusted, loved, that person had been a lie. Or at least, incomplete. A person capable of betrayal I'd never imagined. 3 months after the funeral, I sold the house. I couldn't stay there. Couldn't live in the space Jake and I had shared. Couldn't sleep in the bed where we'd made plans for a future that had been built on lies. I sold it all. The house, the furniture, most of his things. I kept almost nothing. A few photos from before Victoria, before Oliver, before I knew the truth. Photos of Jake and me in college, early in our relationship when things were simple, when I'd believed in forever. I moved into a small apartment downtown, 1 bedroom, nothing fancy, but it was mine, truly mine. No ghosts, no memories, no lies. My parents thought I was being rash, making big decisions too soon after loss. But I didn't care. I needed a clean break, a fresh start, a life that didn't remind me of everything I'd lost. Around this time, Oliver's birthday came up. He was turning 8. I knew because Victoria had sent me an invitation to his party at a park. Kids and cake and games, like everything was normal, like I was still Aunt Alina, who'd show up with presents and smiles. I didn't go, didn't send a gift, didn't acknowledge it. Victoria called that evening. "Oliver was really hurt that you didn't come. He doesn't understand why you won't see him." "Then explain it to him. Tell him the truth. He's too young for that. Then he's too young to understand why I'm not around. But he didn't do anything wrong. He's an innocent kid in all this. I know that, and I'm sorry for it. But I can't be around him right now. Maybe ever. He's a reminder of everything Jake and you did to me. That's not fair to him. Nothing about this is fair, Victoria. Not to him, not to me, not to anyone. But we have to deal with it anyway. Oliver needs stability. People who love him. I did love him when I thought he was my nephew, but he's not. He's my husband's son, the product of an affair, and I can't separate those things. I can't look at him and not see betrayal." She was crying. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to leave me alone. To let me heal without having to deal with you or Oliver or any of this. I want you out of my life, for good.
Elena, please. Don't call me again. Don't email. Don't text. We're done. But we're sisters. Not anymore. 4 months after the funeral, I started therapy. I'd been resisting, thought I could handle it on my own, but I was drowning. Couldn't sleep more than a few hours a night, couldn't focus at work, couldn't imagine a future that didn't feel empty. My therapist's name was Dr. Sarah Kim. She was in her 50s, calm and measured, with kind eyes that didn't judge. I told her everything: the funeral, the revelation, the will, the emails, all of it. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "What you're experiencing is complicated grief. You're not just mourning your husband's death, you're mourning the loss of your marriage as you understood it, the loss of trust, the loss of your relationship with your sister, the loss of the life you thought you had. It's multiple losses compounded. Can you heal from something like this? Yes, but it takes time, and it takes processing not just the death, but the betrayal. The two are intertwined. For you, you can't mourn Jake without also confronting what he did. We worked on it, week after week, processing trauma, building coping mechanisms, learning to separate Jake, the person I'd loved, from Jake, the person who betrayed me. Both were real. Both were true. Holding that complexity was the hardest part. 5 months after the funeral, I ran into someone from my past. Literally, ran into him at a coffee shop. I was in line, distracted, looking at my phone, backed up without looking, spilled his coffee. "I'm so sorry. I didn't see you." "It's okay, really." "Elena?" I looked up. Daniel Reyes. We'd gone to college together, hadn't seen him in probably 10 years. "Daniel! Hi! Wow! How are you?" "I'm good. Well, except for wearing coffee now, but otherwise good. Let me buy you another one. It's the least I can do." We sat and caught up. He'd moved to Seattle 2 years ago for work. He was in tech, doing well, single. We talked for an hour. It was easy, comfortable. He made me laugh, which I hadn't done in months. When we parted, he asked for my number, to hang out sometime, as friends. I almost said no. I wasn't ready. Not sure I'd ever be ready. But something made me say yes. 3 days later, he texted, asked if I wanted to get dinner. Nothing fancy, just food and conversation. I said yes. We went to a Thai restaurant, talked for 3 hours, about work, about life, about everything except Jake. He didn't know about the funeral, about any of it, and I didn't tell him. For one evening, I got to be just Elena. Not widow Elena, not betrayed Elena, just me. At the end of the night, he said, "I had a really good time. Can we do this again? I'd like that." We started seeing each other regularly. Once a week at first, then twice, then more. It wasn't dating exactly, more like friendship with the possibility of something more hovering in the background. 6 months after the funeral, Daniel asked about my past, about my marriage. I'd mentioned being widowed, but hadn't gone into detail. We were at his apartment watching a movie when he brought it up. "You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but I'd like to know. About your husband. About what happened." I told him. Everything. The affair, Oliver, the will, the emails. All of it. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "That's a lot to carry."
Does it bother you that I come with all this baggage? Everyone has baggage. Yours is just more visible right now. But it doesn't define you. You're not just your trauma. You're also funny and smart and interesting. And I'd like to keep getting to know all of you, not just the parts that aren't hurt. That meant more than he knew. 7 months after the funeral, Victoria tried one more time. She showed up at my apartment. I didn't know how she'd gotten the address, maybe from my parents. I opened the door, and there she was. Please don't close the door. I just need 5 minutes. I should have closed it. Should have sent her away. But curiosity won. I let her in. She looked different. Thinner. Older. Tired. Oliver misses you. He asks about you all the time. I'm sorry for that. But it doesn't change anything. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I know I don't deserve that. I just need you to understand that I'm sorry. That if I could go back and make a different choice, I would. But you can't. None of us can, so we live with the choices we made. I've been living with guilt for 7 years. Now I'm living with the consequences. I've lost my sister. Oliver's lost his aunt. We're both paying for what I did. Good. That's cruel. Maybe, but I'm not feeling particularly generous. Can I ask you something? What? Do you hate Jake or just me? Both. Neither. I don't know. I hate what he did. I hate what you did. But I also loved him. That doesn't just disappear because he's dead. Even though he hurt you? Especially because he hurt me. Because I can't confront him, can't yell at him, can't make him answer for what he did. He's just gone, and I'm left with all this rage and grief and nowhere to put it. I understand. Do you? Because it seems like you got what you wanted. You got his son, his money, his secret legacy. And I got nothing but lies. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk to me about fair? You had an affair with my husband. You hid his child. You sat at my table for 7 years and lied to my face. And now you want to talk about fair? I'm sorry. I know. You've said that. But sorry doesn't fix anything. It doesn't give me back my marriage, doesn't undo the betrayal, doesn't make Oliver any less Jake's son. I know. So why are you here? I guess I just needed to try. One more time. To see if there was any chance you could forgive me. Someday. There isn't. Not today. Probably not ever. She nodded, stood up. I understand. I hope you find peace, Elena. I really do. She left. I watched her walk to her car through my window. Got in, drove away. And I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just empty. 8 months after the funeral, Daniel told me he loved me. We were having dinner at my apartment. I'd cooked, which was progress. I'd barely been eating for months, let alone cooking. We were talking about plans for the weekend when he said it. I love you. I know that might be too soon. I know you're still processing everything with Jake, but I needed to say it. Because it's true. I don't expect you to say it back, but I wanted you to know. I didn't say it back, couldn't, but I didn't pull away either. I let myself sit with it. The possibility that maybe, someday, I could feel that again. That maybe love wasn't permanently ruined for me. 9 months after the funeral, I got a letter. From Oliver. My handwriting was shaky. Child's writing. Dear Aunt Elena, I miss you. Mom says you are sad because Uncle Jake died. I am sad too. He was my friend. I don't understand why you don't visit anymore. Did I do something wrong? I hope not. I hope you come see me soon. Love, Oliver. I sat with that letter for a long time. This child, this innocent child who hadn't asked to be part of this mess, who didn't understand adult betrayal and complicated family dynamics, who just knew that someone he cared about had disappeared. I wrote back. It was brief. Dear Oliver, you didn't do anything wrong. I promise. Sometimes adults have complicated feelings that are hard to explain. I care about you. I always will. But I need some time.
I hope you understand. Aunt Elena. I didn't know if a 7-year-old could understand, but it was the best I could offer. 10 months after the funeral, I made a decision. I was going to keep the life insurance money. All of it. The 50% that was meant for Oliver's trust. I knew it was wrong, legally questionable, morally ambiguous, but I didn't care. Jake had betrayed me. Victoria had betrayed me. They'd both profited from that betrayal. Victoria got child support, got Jake's secret involvement in Oliver's life, got 7 years of him being a father, while I got 7 years of lies, and now she wanted $500,000 for Oliver's future too? No. I was done being the understanding wife, the forgiving sister, the person who absorbed everyone else's mistakes and moved on gracefully. I called Patricia, my lawyer, told her my plan. She was quiet for a long moment. Elena, I have to advise against this. The will is clear. If you take that money, Victoria can sue. Let her. You'd likely lose. Then I lose. But at least I fought back. At least I didn't just roll over and accept it. Patricia sighed. If you're determined to do this, do it knowing the risks. I'm prepared for that. I transferred the full life insurance payout into my personal account. $500,000. Money that was supposed to be split. Money that Victoria was expecting for Oliver. Money I was keeping. 3 days later, I got a call from Victoria. You took Oliver's money. Yes. Elena, that's illegal. That money was designated for him in the will. Actually, the insurance policy named me as the beneficiary. The will expressed Jake's wishes about how I should distribute it, but technically it's my money. So you're stealing from a child. From your nephew. I'm keeping what's mine, what your husband and my sister stole from me. This is about revenge. This is about justice. You can't do this. Watch me. She hung up. 2 days later, I got a letter from a lawyer. Victoria's lawyer. Threatening legal action if I didn't transfer Oliver's portion within 7 days. I showed it to Patricia. They're serious. So am I. This could get ugly. It already is ugly. Can't get much worse. She filed suit. Victoria sued me for Oliver's portion of the life insurance. It went to court. Took 6 months to resolve. 6 months of depositions, of lawyers arguing, of me sitting in courtrooms listening to Victoria's attorney paint me as vindictive and cruel, listening to Victoria testify about Jake's wishes, about Oliver's needs, about how I was hurting an innocent child. My attorney argued that the insurance policy named me as the beneficiary, that Jake's will expressed preferences but didn't create legal obligations, that the money was mine to do with as I pleased. The judge listened to both sides, then ruled. He split it down the middle. Literally. Ordered me to pay Victoria $250,000 plus interest, plus her legal fees. In total, I had to give up almost $300,000. I'd won and lost, kept some of the money, but not the vindication I'd wanted. After the ruling, Victoria approached me outside the courtroom. You could have just given it to him from the start, saved us both this nightmare. But that wouldn't have made you face any consequences. This is a child, Elena, an innocent child, and you're punishing him for his parents' mistakes?
Maybe I am, but I'm also protecting myself, making sure I'm not completely destroyed by what you and Jake did. You're already destroyed. You've cut off your family. You're clinging to anger. You're becoming someone I don't recognize. Good, because I don't want to be the person you knew. That person was naive. That person trusted you. That person got crushed. This new person knows better. I walked away before she could respond. 1 year after the funeral, I was sitting in Daniel's apartment. We'd just had dinner. We're watching TV. He muted it and turned to me. I want to ask you something.
And I need you to be honest, okay? Are you ever going to let yourself be happy again? What do you mean? I mean, it's been a year. I know you're still processing, still hurt, but at some point, you have to decide if you're going to stay in that hurt or try to move forward. I am moving forward. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're still consumed by what happened, still defined by it. You want an apartment you hate. You barely see your parents. You cut off your entire family. You fought your sister in court. When does it end? When does Elena get to just be Elena again? Not widowed Elena, not betrayed Elena, just you. I didn't have an answer. He continued, gentler now. I love you. I've told you that. But I can't compete with a ghost. Can't compete with the anger and hurt you're carrying. At some point, you have to choose. Choose to let it go. Not for Victoria, not for Oliver, for yourself. What if I can't? Then I think we both know where this is going, and I don't want that. But I also can't keep waiting for you to be ready. I've been patient. I'll keep being patient. But I need to know there's an end point, that someday you'll be able to fully be present with me, with us. Can I think about it? Of course. But don't think too long, because I love you. But I also love myself enough not to be someone's second choice. You're not second, aren't I? I'm competing with your anger, with your need for revenge, with a past you won't let go of. That makes me second, Alina, even if you don't mean it to. He was right. I knew he was right. But knowing and changing were two different things. That night, alone in my apartment, I thought about what Daniel had said, about being consumed by anger, about being defined by betrayal. Was he right? Was I stuck? I thought about the past year. What had I accomplished? I'd sold my house, moved apartments, cut off my family, fought a legal battle I'd only partially won, started therapy, started dating Daniel. But had I healed? Or had I just been surviving, creating distance from the pain without actually processing it? I called Dr. Kim the next morning. We need to talk about something. Of course. What's on your mind? Am I stuck? In what sense? In grief? In anger? My boyfriend thinks I'm not moving forward, that I'm still consumed by what happened. What do you think? I think he might be right. I think I've been so focused on protecting myself from more hurt that I haven't let myself actually heal. That's a significant realization. So what do I do about it? That's what you need to decide. What does healing look like for you? What would it mean to let go? I don't know if I can let go. Not completely. Maybe you can't. Maybe you'll always carry this. But carrying something doesn't mean it has to define you. You can hold the pain and still choose joy. Choose love. Choose a future that isn't about revenge or anger. That sounds impossible. It's not, but it is hard, and it requires you to make a choice. Every day. Sometimes every hour. To choose moving forward over staying stuck. Over the next few weeks, I thought about that constantly. What did moving forward actually look like? Did it mean forgiving Victoria? Did it mean letting go of the anger at Jake? Did it mean accepting what happened and somehow making peace with it? I didn't have answers, but I started trying. Small steps. I called my parents, actually talked to them instead of avoiding their calls. Called them, I was trying to work through things. They were relieved, supportive. My mother cried, said she'd been so worried, that she'd felt helpless watching me isolate myself. I started running. Physical activity helped, gave me something to do with the restless energy that anger had been feeding. I ran every morning before work, 5 miles. sometimes more. It cleared my head, made me feel like I was actually doing something instead of just sitting in my pain. I threw myself into work, got promoted to senior designer, started taking on bigger projects. My boss commented on how focused I'd become, how my work had improved. I didn't tell her it was because designing gave me something to control, something I could make beautiful, even when my life felt ugly. 14 months after the funeral, I went to Jake's grave. First time since the burial. I'd been avoiding it. Didn't want to stand there and pretend to mourn someone who'd betrayed me. But Dr. Kim had suggested it might help. Closure, she had called it. The cemetery was quiet. Cold. It was February. Gray skies. I stood in front of his headstone. Read his name. The dates. Beloved husband. That's what I'd chosen for the inscription, before I knew the truth. Now it felt like a lie carved in granite. I didn't cry. Didn't feel the overwhelming grief I'd expected. Mostly I just felt tired. Tired of carrying this, tired of being angry at someone who couldn't respond, tired of letting a dead man control my present. I spoke out loud. Felt stupid doing it, but did it anyway. I don't know if you can hear me. Don't know if I believe in any of that, but I need to say this. You destroyed me, Jake. You and Victoria took something beautiful and poisoned it. You made me question everything, every memory, every moment, every promise. I'll never forgive you for that. Never. But I can't keep living like this. Can't keep being defined by what you did. So I'm letting you go. Not forgiving, but releasing. You don't get to haunt me anymore. You don't get to steal my future the way you stole my past. I'm done. I'm choosing me. Finally. I turned and walked away. Didn't look back. That night, I called Daniel. Can we talk? Of course. In person? I'd like that. He came over. We sat on my couch. The same couch where Victoria destroyed my world 14 months ago. But it was just a couch now. Just furniture. I've been thinking about what you said. About choosing. About moving forward. And I want to. I want to choose us. Choose a future. But I need you to understand something. I'm always going to carry this. What happened with Jake and Victoria, it changed me. I'm not the person I was before. And I can't pretend to be. I don't want you to pretend. I just want you to be present. To give us a real chance. I can do that. I want to do that.
He pulled me close. I love you. I know. I love you too. It was the first time I'd said it, and I meant it.
Not the way I'd loved Jake. That love had been young and naive and built on assumptions that proved false. This love was different. Harder one. More careful, but real. 15 months after the funeral, I had lunch with my mother. Just the two of us. We hadn't done that in over a year. She looked older. Worry had aged her. "I'm sorry," I said. "For what?" "For shutting you out. For making you worry. You were dealing with an impossible situation. I still am, but I'm trying to do better. That's all anyone can ask." She reached across the table, took my hand. "Can I tell you something?" "Of course." "Victoria's struggling. She has been since the lawsuit. She's depressed, barely working. Oliver's having problems at school, acting out. She thinks it's because he misses you." I pulled my hand back. Don't do that." "Don't what?" "Don't try to guilt me into fixing things with Victoria." "I'm not trying to guilt you. I'm just telling you what's happening." "Why? What do you expect me to do about it?" "I don't expect anything, but she's my daughter too, and she's suffering. So am I. So is Oliver. And maybe if you could find a way to have some kind of relationship with him, it would help." "Help who? Him? Or Victoria?" "Both. He's an innocent child, Alina. I know that. But I can't look at him without seeing everything Jake and Victoria did. That's not his fault. I know it's not. But that doesn't change how I feel. Can you try? Can you at least think about it? For Oliver's sake?" I wanted to say no. Wanted to hold on to my boundaries, my protection, my wall. But something in my mother's face made me hesitate. "Fine. I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking." 15 months after the funeral, I made a decision. I would see Oliver. Once. Not a regular thing, not reconciliation with Victoria, just one meeting to see if I could handle it. To see if maybe there was a way forward that didn't involve completely shutting out a child who'd done nothing wrong. I called Victoria. She answered on the first ring. "Elena? I want to see Oliver. Just him. Not you. Just him." Silence. Then, "Okay. When?" "This Saturday. 2:00. There's a park near my apartment. I'll text you the address. He can come for an hour." "Okay. And Victoria?" "What?" "This doesn't mean we're okay." "I know. This is for Oliver. Not for you." "I understand." Saturday came. I was nervous. Hadn't seen Oliver in over a year. Didn't know what to expect. I got to the park early, sat on a bench, watched families. Kids on swings, parents pushing strollers, normal life happening all around me. Then I saw them. Victoria's car pulling into the parking lot. Oliver got out. He'd grown, was taller, thinner, looked less like a little kid and more like a boy. He saw me and ran over. "Aunt Elena!" "Hey, Oliver. I missed you so much. Where have you been?" "I've been dealing with some grown-up stuff." "That's what Mom said. She said you were sad about Uncle Jake." "I was. I am. Me too. He was nice. He taught me how to ride a bike." "Did he?" "Yeah, last summer. Before he died. He said he was proud of me." I felt something crack in my chest. Not break, just crack. Letting light in. "That's nice. He was proud of you." Victoria hovered near the car, watching. I waved her away. She got back in the car, gave us space. Oliver and I walked to the playground. He showed me how high he could swing now, how fast he could run, how brave he was on the monkey bars. He told me about school, about his friends, about his teacher, who was nice but gave too much homework. He was just a kid. A normal, sweet kid. And for an hour, I let myself forget everything else. Forget the betrayal, forget the pain. Just be with this child who wanted nothing more than to spend time with me. When the hour was up, Victoria came back. Time to go, Oliver. Already? We just got here. You've been here an hour, sweetheart. It's time. Can Aunt Alina come over for dinner sometime? We'll see. Let her think about it. Oliver hugged me. Tight. Will you come back? Will you visit again? Maybe. I'd like that. Me too, buddy. After they left, I sat on the bench for a long time. Processing. That had been harder and easier than I expected. Harder because seeing Oliver meant confronting everything, the resemblance to Jake, the reality of his existence, the evidence of betrayal made flesh. But easier because he was just a kid, innocent, sweet, not responsible for any of this. I called Dr. Kim from the parking lot. How did it go? It was okay. How do you feel? Confused. In what way? I spent a year and a half being angry at Victoria, cutting her off, punishing her, and now I just spent an hour with her son and it was nice. And I don't know how to reconcile those things. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe both can be true. You can still be hurt by what Victoria did, still not want a relationship with her, but also care about Oliver. They're separate relationships. Are they, though? In this case? I think they can be, if you choose to make them separate. I don't know if I can do that. Then don't decide today. Just sit with it. See how you feel. Keep talking to Oliver if that feels right. Let the rest evolve. Over the next few months, I saw Oliver regularly. Once every 2 weeks, always at the park, always for just an hour or two. Never at Victoria's house, never with her present beyond drop-off and pick-up. It was working. Slowly. Oliver was happy, lighter. I was too, in a way I hadn't expected. It didn't fix everything, didn't erase what Victoria and Jake had done, but it carved out a small space for something good in the middle of all the bad. 2 years after the funeral, Daniel proposed. We were on vacation. Hawaii. Sunset Beach. Very romantic, very cliché, very perfect. He got down on one knee and said, I love you. I know you've been through hell. I know you're still healing, but I want to be part of your future. All of it. The good days and the hard days, the healing and the setbacks. All of it. Will you marry me? I said yes. Not because I'd completely healed, not because the pain was gone, but because I'd learned something important. You don't have to be perfect to deserve love. You don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. You just have to choose. Choose to try. Choose to be brave. Choose to believe that good things can still happen even after terrible things have. We set a date. Small wedding, just close friends and family. My parents, Daniel's family, a few friends from work, and Oliver. I invited Oliver. Not Victoria, just her son. My nephew. Jake's son. The child caught in the middle of this mess. Daniel asked if I was sure. I am. He's part of my life now, part of my story. And I want him there. Victoria called when she got the invitation. Oliver's invited, but I'm not? That's correct. Elena, he's my mother. I know, but this is my wedding, and I'm not ready to have you there. Will I ever be invited back into your life? I don't know. Maybe, but not now. Not yet. When? When I'm ready. If I'm ever ready. That's not fair. Neither was what you did. But here we are. She hung up. I didn't feel guilty. Felt something closer to peace. The wedding was beautiful, small, intimate. Everything I wanted. Oliver was there in a little suit, serious and proud to be included. He sat with my parents during the ceremony, smiled at me as I walked down the aisle. During the reception, he came up to me. "You look really pretty, Aunt Elena." "Thank you, Oliver. Are you happy?" "I am. Really happy."
3 years after the funeral, I was cleaning out storage, found a box I'd packed away. Photos, mementos, things from my marriage to Jake. I'd shoved it all in a box after he died, hadn't looked at it since. Now, sitting on my apartment floor, I opened it. Photos of Jake and me, young, happy, in love. Wedding pictures, vacation photos, random snapshots of everyday life. Looking at them didn't hurt the way it used to. There was sadness, always would be, but also acceptance. This had been real. The love had been real, even if the full truth had been hidden. I could hold both things now, the love and the betrayal, the good memories and the lies. They coexisted, complicated, messy, human. I found the binder, the one with the printed emails, evidence of the affair, of the lies. I'd read them so many times in that first year, torturing myself with details, but I hadn't looked at them in over a year, didn't need to anymore. I carried them to the kitchen, put them in the sink, struck a match, watched them burn. Not for Victoria, not for Jake. For me, letting go of the evidence, the proof, the need to hold on to the pain. 4 years after the funeral, Victoria reached out again, asked if we could meet. Just the two of us. Talk. I almost said no, but something made me agree. We met at a coffee shop, neutral territory. She looked better than the last time I'd seen her, healthier, more put together. "Thank you for agreeing to meet. I'm surprised I did. I wanted to say thank you. For spending time with Oliver, for including him in your life. He talks about you all the time. He loves you. I love him too. I know. And I know that's hard for you. It was. It's getting easier. Can I say something?" "You can say whatever you want. Doesn't mean I'll agree." "Fair enough." She took a breath. "I've been in therapy for 2 years now, working through a lot of stuff. And one thing I've realized is that I spent 7 years telling myself I was protecting everyone, protecting you from the truth, protecting Oliver from losing his father, protecting Jake from losing his marriage. But really, I was just protecting myself from consequences, from having to face what I'd done, and that was cowardly. Yes, it was. I'm sorry. I know you've heard that before, but I mean it differently now. Before, I was sorry I'd hurt you. Now I'm sorry I made the choices I made. Sorry I was selfish and weak. Sorry I let Jake convince me that lying was protecting anyone. It wasn't. It was just easier. I don't know what you want me to say. I don't want you to say anything. I just needed you to hear it. A real apology. Not an excuse, not a justification. Just acknowledgement that what I did was wrong. Period. Okay. Can I ask you something? What? Have you forgiven Jake? Some days I think I have. Other days I'm still angry. It's complicated. You loved him. I did. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I don't know. Right now, I can tolerate you. For Oliver's sake. That's progress from where we were. But forgiveness, I'm not there yet. Might never be. I understand. We finished our coffee in silence.
When we stood to leave, Victoria said, "For what it's worth, I'm glad you found someone. Daniel, I'm glad you're happy. Thank you. That's all I want for you. Happiness. Even if I'm not part of it. I appreciate that." 5 years after the funeral, I was sitting in my therapist's office. It had become less frequent, once a month now, instead of weekly, a maintenance thing more than crisis management. "How are you feeling?" Dr. Kim asked. "Honestly, good, most days." "That's wonderful. I've been thinking about what healing actually means. And I used to think it meant getting back to who I was before Jake died, before I found out about Oliver. But that person doesn't exist anymore. Healing isn't about going back. It's about building something new." That's very insightful. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I'm harder in some ways, more cautious, but also stronger, more sure of myself, more willing to set boundaries. That's growth. It is. And it came from something terrible, but it's still growth. Do you still think about Jake? Every day, but differently now. Less anger, more sadness for what could have been. If he'd just told the truth, if he'd been brave enough to face the consequences instead of hiding, do you think you would have stayed? If he'd told you when Oliver was born? I've thought about that a lot. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But at least I would have had the choice. That's what I'll never forgive. Not the affair itself, but the years of lies. The stolen choice. That's valid. Do you think you're healed? Not completely. Not sure anyone fully heals from something like this. But I'm healing. Every day, a little more. That's all anyone can ask. 6 years after the funeral, Oliver turned 13. Teenager now. Taller than me, voice changing, becoming a young man. Victoria threw him a birthday party. Invited me, invited Daniel. We went. It was the first time I'd been to her house since before Jake died. Felt strange walking in, seeing her life, her home, but manageable. We stayed for cake and presents, watched Oliver open gifts. He was happy, surrounded by friends, growing up. Before we left, he hugged me. "Thanks for coming, Aunt Elena. It means a lot." "Of course, Oliver. Happy birthday. Can I ask you something?" "Sure. Do you think my dad would be proud of me?" "Your dad?" "Jake. Do you think he'd be proud?"
I looked at Victoria. She was watching, waiting to see what I'd say. "Yes," I said finally. "I think he would be. You're a good kid. Smart. Kind. He would have been proud." Oliver smiled. "That's good. I want him to be proud. He is. Wherever he is, he's proud of you." 7 years after the funeral, I was having dinner with my parents. They'd come to visit Daniel and me. We were talking about the past, about everything that had happened. "Do you regret it?" my father asked, cutting Victoria off for so long. "Some of it. I wish I'd been able to separate my anger at her from my relationship with Oliver sooner. But the rest? No, I needed that time. Needed to protect myself, even if it looked cruel from the outside." "We never thought you were cruel," Mom said. "We thought you were surviving. That's all you could do." "Do you think you'll ever be close with Victoria again?" "I don't know. We're civil now, friendly even, but close? I don't know if we can get there. The trust is broken. Maybe some things can't be repaired. Maybe they can just be survived." 8 years after the funeral, on the anniversary of Jake's death, I did something I hadn't done before. I went to his grave with Oliver. Just the two of us. He'd asked if we could go, said he wanted to talk to his dad, tell him about school, about his life. I said yes. We stood there together. Oliver talked,
Told Jake about making the basketball team, about getting A's in math, about the girl he liked but was too scared to talk to. I listened, watched this boy talk to his father, and I felt sad. Not for me, for them, for the relationship they'd been denied, because Jake had been too coward to tell the truth. After Oliver finished, he turned to me. "Do you want to say something?" I thought about it. Then, "Jake, I hope you're listening. I hope you can hear your son. He's amazing, smart and kind and good. Everything a father could hope for. You missed out on knowing him, really knowing him. That's your loss. But he's going to be fine, because he's got people who love him, who show up for him, who tell him the truth. That's more than you gave him, but it's enough." I turned to Oliver. "Ready to go?" "Yeah. Thanks for bringing me." "Of course." 9 years after the funeral, Daniel and I decided to try for a baby. It took time, several rounds of IVF, heartbreak and hope and waiting, but finally, I got pregnant. A girl. We were having a girl. I told Oliver when I was 5 months along. We were having lunch, just the two of us. He came over sometimes now, spent time with Daniel and me, part of our lives in a way that felt natural. "You're going to have a cousin," I told him. His eyes went wide. "Really? Really? That's so cool. Do you know if it's a boy or girl?" "A girl." "What are you going to name her?" "We're thinking Sophia." "I like that. She's lucky." "Why?" "Because she gets you as a mom, and you're a really good mom, even though you're not mine." "Thank you, Oliver. That means a lot." My daughter Sophia was born on a Tuesday morning in March, 10 years and 2 weeks after Jake's funeral. Daniel was there, held my hand, cried when she was born. My parents came to the hospital, met their granddaughter, cried happy tears. And Victoria came too. I'd invited her. Wasn't sure I would until the moment came, but seeing her walk into the hospital room, seeing her look at my daughter, I was glad I had. "She's beautiful, Elena." "Thank you." "Congratulations. To both of you." "Can I say something?" "Of course." "I know we'll never be what we were. I know I destroyed that. But I'm grateful. For this. For you letting me be here. For you staying in Oliver's life. For you building something good out of all the bad. I'm trying. That's all any of us can do. Try." She laughed after a few minutes, gave us space, but she'd been there. Acknowledged, included, not forgiven completely, but not shut out entirely either. Holding Sophia, looking at Daniel, thinking about Oliver and Victoria and my parents and everyone who'd been part of this terrible, complicated, painful journey, I realized something. I'd survived. More than survived. I'd rebuilt. Not the life I'd planned, not the family I expected, but a life, a family. One built on truth instead of lies, on choice instead of obligation, on healing instead of hiding. Jake's betrayal had destroyed me, but I'd put myself back together, different, stronger, more careful with my trust, but also more fierce in my love. I'd lost things I could never get back. My marriage, my innocence, my relationship with my sister as I'd known it. But I'd gained things too. Clarity, strength, Daniel, Sophia, a relationship with Oliver that was real instead of based on lies. Had it been worth it? The pain and the anger and the years of grief? No, I'd never say that. I'd give anything to not have gone through it. But I'd gone through it anyway, hadn't had a choice, and I survived it. That was enough. More than enough. It was everything. 10 years after the funeral, exactly 10 years to the day, I stood in front of Jake's grave one more time. Sophia was asleep in her stroller. Daniel was beside me. Oliver had come too, 17 now, almost a man. We stood there together, the four of us, a family. Not the one Jake had imagined, not the one I'd planned, but the one we'd built from the ruins of his betrayal. I didn't speak out loud this time, just thought the words. You broke me, Jake. You and Victoria broke me into pieces, and it took me 10 years to put myself back together. I'm not the same. I'll never be the same. But I'm okay with that. Because the person I am now is someone I'm proud of, someone who survived, someone who built something beautiful out of something terrible. I hope wherever you are, you understand what you lost. Not just me, but the chance to know your son, really know him, the chance to be honest, the chance to make different choices. But those were your choices to make, and I've made mine. I choose to keep living, keep loving, keep building, and I'm done letting you haunt me. This is goodbye. For real this time. I'm free. Returned and walked away. The four of us. Into the future. Into whatever came next. Into life. And for the first time in 10 years, I felt completely, truly at peace.